Hour 18, violence in Chicago and what's being done about it.
We have Stephen Graves on random attacks downtown and Tara Molina getting answers from the head of the carjacking task force. Just look at this number. We have reached more than 1,000 carjackings this year. Tonight, in a CBS 2 exclusive, our Tara Molina sits down with the sergeant leading part of CPD's vehicular hijacking task force. What is the task force doing? What are they up against? And what's it going to take to put an end to this? Tara, those were just some of the questions you asked.
Now, first, all four of these people, you talk to them, if you were to meet these people at a dinner party or anywhere, at a country club, wherever, the conversation you guys had, if you were talking about current events in the state of the country, you would have no idea that they were newscasters in Chicago and covered the carnage on a daily basis. Why is that? Because they would be with all the woke talking points, because it's polite society. You don't talk about this stuff in everyday conversations. If it comes up, you blame the guns. You say they need more stuff, money, funding, rec centers, more money needs to be spent on education, the diversionary programs, less jail. You say all the talking points. And I just look at these people and I'm just wondering, like, because I've met some news anchors living in Washington, D.C., and going to, different events. As you guys may not know, I have some, very, influential friends. Okay? So I've been places and I've done things. And I just know for a fact that all four of these people covering this carnage on a daily basis, you would never know if you had a conversation with them about current events. Now to the 1,000 carjackings. It's August. They're breaking records in a notoriously violent city. And it's August. Put that in your pipe and smoke it. And the biggest story this year in Chicago was a 13-year-old gangbanger was running from the scene of a shooting he was involved in, tossed his gun, and got shot by a cop. That was the biggest story of the year in this city. Has had 1,000 carjackings in this August.
Tonight, in a CBS 2 exclusive, our Tara Molina sits down with the sergeant leading part of CPD's vehicular hijacking task force. What is the task force doing? What are they up against? And what's it going to take to put an end to this? Tara, those were just some of the questions you asked.
Erica, questions for a task force that is in place for a reason. In 2020 and 2021, there were more carjackings reported than the past 4 years combined.
Wow.
In 2020 and 2021, there were more carjackings reported than the past 4 years combined. But a question so many want answered tonight, is this task force enough? Carjacking after carjacking. We've tracked them in every Chicago neighborhood at all hours. The victims, all ages and backgrounds.
Guy came up behind me and kind of turned me around and put a gun to my chest and said, "If you move, I'll kill you."
The carjackers, often teens.
And I get it that they're young, but they're also bold enough to put a gun against my head.
Now this is high society right here. She summers in the Hamptons. Her favorite vacation spot is Tuscany, with Saint-Tropez being a close second. She likes wine, but only from the finest vineyards in Napa Valley. And she bought a brownstone in a upper crust neighborhood in Chicago because it's a great city. Now, this woman might as well live in the projects because the crime is spread. One thing about those protests that these white liberals don't understand, and I saw it happen in D.C., we had something called Mochella. There was an incident in D.C. where there's a store there that plays go-go music. Go-go music is the heartbeat of D.C. It's our hip hop, and the store blasts go-go music all day. One woman, so they built the condo across the street from the store, a high-rise condo. One woman in that high-rise condo complained about the go-go music being blasted during the day. The entire black community came out in full force and protested. And they had outdoor concerts playing go-go music right there near the building. Basically, like, so but what happened was they never left. So all up and down that block, where it used to be a nice area to go, go have dinner, go to clubs, college students go to clubs, hang out, little shops and whatnot, nook and crannies. You go in there and, find something cute to, waste your money on. Now it's shootings all the time and thugs hanging around looking at you all crazy. Just standing there like the same place a year ago. You'd walk by and like everybody be walking up and down the street. People would be walking towards you or walking in the same direction as you. Now it's just a bunch of dudes standing in the cut like. He never left. And that's what happened in a lot of cities. And get in the comment section and tell me if that happened in your city. The thugs found, so this is kind of cool up here. We might as well come up here every day. I mean, we were coming up there every day to, with the protesters because, the riot, that's the riot squad. The thugs was the riot squad. The reverends, the clergy members, the college students, the activists, the white liberals. They're the protesters, and then behind comes the thugs and Antifa and all them to, do the looting. But yeah, these guys stay. Antifa went back to their city. But the local homegrown thugs said, oh man, it's fun over here, man. It's cool over here. They started hanging in your neighborhood now.
And I get it that they're young, but they're also bold enough to put a gun against my head.
With 1,013 carjackings reported in Chicago this year, as of Thursday.
It's like the trendy thing to do.
It's like the trendy thing to do. Put that in your pipe and smoke it.
It's like the trendy thing to do.
Sergeant Peter Emilio is on CPD's vehicular hijacking task force, fighting the trend.
The biggest challenge that we have is that the offenders they don't stop.
19 years on the force, he has a background in gangs and investigations, now leading 8 officers, one of the 4 new teams formed in January, specifically dedicated to rising carjackings.
Some of them are just doing it, they're really just doing it for fun.
Some of them are just doing it for fun. It's fun to put guns to people's heads and take their cars. And many times kill them. And many more times shoot them. That's fun. Okay? You have to eat that. You have to swallow that. I was listening to Alanis Morissette the other day. And, you know, her album, Jagged Little Pill, I've always loved that album. Great album. But this is a jagged little pill. But you still have to swallow it. This is fun. It's not to feed the kids. It's not to have clothes, to go to school. It's not to keep the lights on. It's not because they poor and they don't have money and none of that. And I've been telling you guys this for years. Now this is the head of the task force telling you. This is fun.
19 years on the force, he has a background in gangs and investigations, now leading 8 officers, one of the 4 new teams formed in January, specifically dedicated to rising carjackings.
Some of them are just doing it, they're really just doing it for fun.
When it comes to the crime, he says there are 3 answers to the why question.
They compare it to playing Grand Theft Auto.
He says some take the cars to use in other crimes. Others?
We've had people admit to us that they sold a vehicle for $4,500.
We know teens are behind many of the carjackings here. It's something we've been working to put a number on. But because they're underage, we've had to file public records requests to get the data. He says the average age they see, between 14 and 25.
We've had them as young as 11.
Often repeat offenders, or he says, ultimately connected to other crimes.
There are kids that we haven't seen come back. But then there's other kids with long rap sheets.
What do you say to people who are scared, who are seeing this spike, and who feel that CPD isn't doing enough?
You know, I would tell those people that CPD definitely cares. We are doing our best. We've had officers and detectives here who've had their friends and family have been carjacked.
What do you say to people who are saying CPT isn't doing enough? Well, what I would say, the initials are FYI. F you idiot. What do you mean, what are we doing? We're not doing enough. What are you talking about? Do you understand how many kids are doing this? These are 11-year-olds and 12-year-olds. He said that the age range is from 14 to 25 and is as young as 11. Do you know how many 14 to 25-year-olds there are in Chicago of a certain hue? And then if one thing goes wrong, just think about it. The same people who are saying to this man and his task force that they're not doing enough. If one of the carjackers gets hurt while they're trying to arrest him, those same people, not another group of people, not a subgroup of that group, not people on the fringe of that group, that exact same people, those individuals, that group of individuals, those same people will protest in the streets and destroy property. But they won't do that over the madness that the thugs are creating in the community. Just think about that. They won't protest and destroy property over what the thugs are doing. The 1,000 carjackings so far. I think it's 1,100 now. What is it, 1,163? But if one of those carjackers gets hurt by this guy's task force, They'll protest in the streets with picket signs and the whole nine, taking off from work. Lawyers and camera crews, national news. Think about that. And this guy's got to sit there and answer this question. What do you think? Think about it. He had to literally answer that question with a straight face, which shows how professional he is.
What do you say to people who are scared, who are seeing this spike, and who feel that CPD isn't doing enough?
You know, I would tell those people that CPD definitely cares. We are doing our best. We've had officers and detectives here who've had their friends and family have been carjacked.
Now, this task force doesn't work alone. They're working closely with the county, the state, Homeland Security, and several departments across our suburbs and even neighboring states. Erica?
Well, Tara, he also said there is another key element they will need for what it's going to take to stop this crime and curb the trend.
The only key element in this trend is Sun people. The kids of Sun people. There's nothing else going on here. That's it. And you get to sit up here with your blue dress on and act like you don't have no clue what's going on. And this glacier glider woman has to play and act like she don't know what's going on. And y'all just keep reporting it. It's cookie cutter segments. I'm sure you take your job seriously, but come on, man. You know what the element is.
Well, Tara, he also said there is another key element they will need for what it's going to take to stop this crime and curb the trend.
Erica, he says they need more time. His team just started up back in January, but he's also calling for more consequences for first-time offenders and those repeat offenders.
Melina, our thanks tonight.